Hello, everyone, and welcome to our monthly webinar. I'm Jill Buck, the founder and CEO of the Go Green Initiative. This monthly webinar series is something that we are proud to do in conjunction with the National School Boards Association. We have a 5-year partnership with them because of an EPA grant that we received to improve indoor air quality throughout the country in our nation's schools. And today, our webinar is about a grant opportunity that we have coming up that we hope each and every one of you will take advantage of. We're going to be talking about what we are calling cohort two. And we have our cohort leaders and program manager and program coordinator for this part of our grant with us today. I'll introduce them in just a moment, but let me just say a couple things. This is a Zoom webinar, so for those of you attending, you'll not be on camera on the screen. But if you have any questions, we invite you to please put those questions in the little Q&A box that you'll see at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we will get to those questions. This webinar, like all of our monthly webinars, will be archived on our YouTube channel, and everybody who registered, everyone who attends, and everybody who follows us on social media is going to be getting a link to check this webinar out on YouTube. In the description of the YouTube video, we'll also put some helpful links. Things like links to the slides, links to register for our next webinar, and much more. I will say that, like so many of our webinars, you can earn points for the next round of the NSBA Magna Awards by completing a short survey that you'll find a QR code to at the end of this webinar. And if you take that short survey, the questions are always easy. It's not meant to stump anybody. You can receive points. You'll receive a certificate in your email that can later be used as a part of your Magna Award application. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Kamali, who is our program manager for the cohorts for what we call capacity building in this grant. And Andrew, I'll let you introduce yourself and Lauren, and I'll go on mute. But thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, Jill. As Jill said, my name is Andrew Kamali, and I serve as the program manager for our capacity building grant focused on indoor air quality and greenhouse gas reduction. Um, Prior to my role, I served as the school environmental health and safety rule manager for the state of Washington, and have a diverse background really focused in public health and environmental public health. Lauren, I'll pass it to you to introduce yourself.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Londano, and I'm the program coordinator for this grant and for Go Green Initiative. I have a background in campus sustainability, energy efficiency, and waste, and I'm really excited to be with you all today. I'll hand it back over to you, Andrew.
Thank you. So you've met us, so I'll go ahead and move forward. Just today, a quick agenda. We'll be talking about kind of an introduction to what this grant is, why IAQ matters, um, and then give kind of a sneak peek into our cohort experience, what this funding covers, the timeline, and what districts are responsible for throughout the grant process. And then we will also go over how to apply for the grant, what that application looks like, and then next steps. So, why does IAQ matter in schools? In schools, IAQ affects millions of students and staff every day. Think about how many students right now are inside of a school campus in this country. Um, in Washington state alone, there were 1.2 million students. So imagine what that looks like across the state, considering Washington is only the 13th most populous state in the country. And indoor air quality is the air we breathe. It is critically important for many factors, which I will now go over, um, specifically on health and wellness. I think a lot of us, when we think about indoor air quality, one of the first thoughts is COVID, those respiratory diseases. We just went through a pandemic that impacted every person across the world. and also drew a lot of focus into the impacts of indoor air quality. Though the pandemic is no longer in place, we're now really aware of the impacts of indoor air quality, especially respiratory effects. Poor indoor air quality can lead to coughing, sneezing, allergies, exacerbate asthma symptoms. Continuous exposure to certain toxins that can be found in our air can lead to different types of cancers, neurodegenerative diseases, psychological effects. These start to get really important as we talk about students. Cardiac effects and gastrointestinal effects. These are just a few of the areas where indoor air quality can have direct impacts, especially with prolonged exposure to different sources um, that may exist within our school facilities. I think many of us are aware that there is a very large range and variety of school facilities across this country. And regardless of what school a student is in, they should have a safe and healthy environment to learn. So, as we get into indoor air quality, it's important to also note the impacts on student performance. Um, there are, of course, these respiratory illnesses and things like that, which, if your student's not in the classroom, they're not learning. But even in the classroom, uh, better indoor air quality can decrease absenteeism and improve performance. Um, there are a lot of factors that go into each one of these components. There are a few listed here, but some of the big ones are temperature, humidity, and ventilation. Um, I feel like this is typically not the first area of thought when we think about student success. However, it is critically important. I'm not sure how many of you have ever sat inside of a 85-degree classroom. You know, when you get into your car on a really hot day and the seats burn you and it's uncomfortably hot. Now imagine having to sit in a space like that and try to pay attention and absorb information that's being taught to you. Additionally, poor indoor air quality can lead to fatigue and concentration difficulties. Um, and like I mentioned, it can exacerbate asthma and allergies. And there are all sorts of different components, such as carbon dioxide and other gases that can impact student performance and their ability to pay attention. Um, which leads into a lot of different factors. We see, and there have been numerous studies that show improved IAQ helps to improve student test scores, student knowledge retention, and of course, there is that critical component of absenteeism and dropout rates. Indoor air quality is critical for that. So, to sum it up, it improves cognitive function, there's better concentration, reduced absenteeism, fewer respiratory illnesses, and overall a healthier and better school environment for students to learn. Not to mention the impacts that it has on all of the staff and individuals who enter the space, especially when schools become community centers as well. So now we're going to transition into what is the cohort experience. Just to share the photo that you see there, this is the environmental and indoor air quality team at Boston Public Schools. They are one of our cohort districts for cohort 1. Um, what I would like to say as we introduce this is that there is a wide range of members of cohort 1 that go from school districts with a total student population of less than 50 who have never done any indoor air quality work or energy efficiency work to Boston Public Schools with almost 50,000 students, who is a global leader in indoor air quality. So just know when you're applying for this, or if you're interested in this, you don't need to have any experience with indoor air quality or energy efficiency. But if you do, that's not a disadvantage either. We want to make sure that everybody has access to as much information, as much training as possible in order to improve indoor air quality and energy efficiency within their campuses. So with each one of our cohort districts, and there are 10 per cohort, we offer personalized technical assistance. You can see in these images, here we are in our first image on showing Lauren, actually, our coordinator in East St. Louis Public Schools, where we're going through and doing walkthroughs, which we'll go over some of these tools in a few minutes. Um, and what we do in advance of each one of these site visits, because we do a site visit to every single district, sometimes more than one site visit if that's what the support that that district needs. We plan and determine what is the most effective based on, the innate knowledge that those district personnel have. Um, what's really important to us is we don't have all the answers for your district. We want to learn from you and understand what gaps you've identified and what we can do to fill those gaps. And every district is going to be different. For example, Boston is a global leader in indoor air quality, but some of the energy efficiency components hadn't been built into that work versus, some of our schools, like a very small school in rural Missouri, which you see depicted in the final image on the far right, is a school building that's from 1908. And these are facilities that have been updated over the years through different series of codes and regulations. And so you see kind of that history there, but also you see several different things that we need to work with the district on to help them improve, things that they've identified themselves. Um, back to the title of this slide, it is personalized to exactly the needs of your district. And we will work with you every step of the way to make sure that we're tailoring it the best we can. So beyond that, we have monthly cohort check-ins. You can see a screenshot of one of our more recent ones. On the left, you'll see a screenshot of the website that is specifically for cohort members, where all of our webinars and monthly cohort sessions are linked so that, of course, we encourage folks to attend live if they can. That way, questions get answered, and that maybe the rest of the group also has, and things like that. But they are available as recordings. The slides are available. And of course, Lauren and I are available at any point when questions are needed. The focus of each of these cohort sessions is different and applicable to the work that you're doing in that moment. So it covers everything from, onboarding to introducing Energy Star, to doing your dashboard for your indoor air quality monitors that we provide as a segment of this grant. Excuse me for one moment. And you'll see a lot of our members choose to have their cameras on. We don't require it, but beyond just getting support from us, they get support from each other. What you're looking at is school districts everywhere from central Georgia to West Texas to rural Montana. And each one of these districts has a different experience, but they also have the shared experience where they can give information to each other to help learn from each other. Because, even though a school in West Texas is drastically different environmentally than a school in central Georgia, they still might have common issues and they might be able to address it in similar ways from learning from each other. So one of our goals is not only to provide support, but also to connect districts so that they can support each other moving forward. Additionally, we develop a ton of turnkey templates and tools. We have some that are directly related to the grant and are attached to some of those dollars. And some of them we generate just at the request of school districts. For example, we developed a series of one-pagers for one of our districts that they can provide to teachers that explain, do you suspect mold? And then it gives examples, explains what mold is, and how to tell the difference between what looks like mold and what actually is mold. Or how to set up your classroom for IAQ success over long breaks, how to prevent, mold growth, how to prevent pests, how to prevent all sorts of different things, the appropriate cleaners to use so that you're not exposing students or yourself to toxic chemicals. Um, this goes back to that tailoring component. What you see here are our walkthrough tools. So the one that says room assess kind of on that left side of the screen is showing um, is a tool that you can use on your phone to do your walkthroughs as part of the baseline assessment and the annual assessment components of this grant. We develop a series of templates. So you don't even have to create an email on your own if you don't want to. Everything is provided for you, and we will always make changes and amendments based on your needs. And then that final piece, which we talked about a little bit, is that in-person training. What you'll see here is we go into each of the school facilities. We have a kind of pre-meeting before we go out to the different school sites, and we talk through the tools. We talk through what we're going to look at, why we're looking at it, um, and then we go and show exactly what we're looking for. So you can see the image with Lauren pointing down. You can see that there's a drain on the roof that's starting to get blocked, and what that can do is lead to flooding on the roof, which is where all of the air handling units are located, which can have serious impacts on student health if that gets into filters. It can also lead to mold growth and all sorts of other factors. You can also show that we do these walkthroughs, the initial walkthroughs with you. Our goal is to provide you with as much training, as much knowledge as possible, and also to answer as many questions. Um, and then finally, you can see I pulled out a filter, and we're actually working with some of the students at one of our schools. And I'm explaining to them, excuse me, the cleanliness levels of filters, how these systems work, and so forth. And Lauren, I'll pass it to you.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So moving forward, who is this program for? So if you're interested in applying for our cohort 2 application, there's only a few requirements. The first one, mainly that school districts must serve a student population of 50% or more who qualify for free and reduced price lunch or reside in a tribal community. So that is one of the requirements of this grant and to be a part of cohort 2. But you're encouraged to apply even if you have done IAQ or greenhouse gas energy efficiency work in the past, as well as indoor air quality work in the past as well, or if you have no experience. We encourage everyone who is interested to apply. And like Andrew mentioned, we have a range of districts around the US from small, rural, large, and urban districts, a variety of sizes and students. So any districts are welcome to apply. It's just that one free and reduced price lunch kind of requirement as part of the grant. Next slide, please. So moving forward, we kind of just wanted to go over a timeline if you're interested in applying. It's January 2026 right now, and so our application closes next month in February 22nd or 27th. And that is when all of the applications are due, and I'll be going through the application itself. Feel free to also send any questions in the chat as I'm going through this timeline if you have any. And so that next kind of timeline there is for April 2026. That'll be when we announce the winners of cohort 2. And in May, we will begin onboarding all of cohort 2 to get ready for the summer, just because your students won't be in session probably, and you may or may not have some more time in the summer, but we like to get started in the summer because there's a lot of work to be done, and just so you're ready for the start of the school year in the fall. Then going to that fall timeline of September, that's usually when we have started our in-person site visits where, and like Andrew was saying, we go in and provide some training, visit your school site and learn from you, and hopefully give you some tools and tips on how we have gone about the cohort experience. Then in December, and so to kind of give some context on this December deadline, there's a few different deadlines associated with the grant, which I'll also talk about in a little bit as well. But those timelines are also in here, that first one being school board policy. As part of the grant, we are having you create a IAQ and energy efficiency school board policy for your district. This is great and really emphasizing that your district is committed to this work and there's a policy behind it and supporting all of the work that you're doing. And so that's a deadline that we have for December of this year. And then the following year in March, we have kind of our second big deadline for the grant, the baseline assessments and course trainings. And those will be due, and I'll also explain those in a little bit. Then we have that IAQ management plan in August of 2027, and that's another kind of big component of the grant. Award dollars will be provided upon completion of that. And this is, again, just something that you'll be working on alongside us. We'll be providing feedback and support on how to create an IAQ management plan if your district doesn't have one. Some districts actually in our cohort one had already developed an IAQ management plan. And so we worked on how to improve or add in some components for the grant. And then that last kind of timeline, the annual reports. This is something that for the consecutive 2 years of the grant in June 1st of 2028 and 2029, which seems very far away, and it is. But just something to note is that we have, as part of the grant, there is annual reports due. And again, in the next slide, I think I'll be showing kind of the award dollars associated with that. Next slide, please. So, like I said, we provide award dollars to you in your district. Here's a breakdown of the different deliverables that we have attached to the different award dollars. That first one being the school board policy. It's about $1,000 that we'll be providing upon completion of that. There will be training courses throughout the program that you'll be completing, and those will be attached to award dollars, as well as the baseline assessment. That is kind of a bigger chunk of award dollars that you'll be receiving, $10,000, and that'll be in the form of conducting IAQ walkthroughs, which again, we will be going to your school, showing you how to do them, and as well as your energy benchmarking. So using Energy Star Portfolio Manager to create a baseline of energy use across all of your school buildings and your campuses. And for those kind of annual reports, you'll be updating this kind of assessment year after year. Then we have that IAQ management plan, $5,000 in award dollars, implementation of plan strategy, IAQ management plan strategies, and kind of looking forward at what your district is doing. Then we have those annual reports, which I mentioned, and those year 1 and year 2 annual reports will be $5,000 provided. And we also provide IAQ monitors and premium software from TSI to you and your school district. This will be so that you can take indoor air quality readings from PM 2.5, total VOCs. There's a whole bunch of different metrics that these monitors can track. And this is, again, also that's going to be included in your baseline assessments for the grant. It's always, if you don't have IQ monitors right now, it's kind of something that if you can't manage what you don't measure, right? And so a lot of the work that we're doing is to try to help you get that measurement and that first measurement if you haven't already, that baseline. And so this is, again, the timeline of different award dollars that you'll receive. One thing to note is once we provide you with the award dollars, you are welcome to spend that in whatever way that your district wants to. We don't have any attachments to what you spend that money on if it wants to go towards retrofits or more IAQ monitors, whatever you feel your district needs. Next slide, please. So based on that, what are you responsible for if you are part of our cohort 2 application? And a lot of these little bullets are kind of the different requirements either for our deliverables and for our award dollars attached. But adopting a school board policy will be kind of that first big part of this grant and what you would be responsible before either in creating either that resolution or that mission statement and submitting that to your school board and having it be passed. The second one is hosting in-person site visits. That'll kind of look like Andrew and myself going to your district. This year for our first cohort 1, we've done in about 2 to 3 days. It might look different depending on the size of your district and how many buildings you have, how many campuses you have, and how much support you need. And so that's something that we can talk about once we are in the onboarding process and kind of what that in-person site visit will look like. But that'll happen first in the fall, and then if you need additional support before that March kind of timeline, we can talk about that moving forward. We also have different course trainings that you as the IAQ coordinator and the IAQ team will have to complete. And so that'll be a part of the cohort 2 application or the cohort 2 experience rather. And then that fourth bullet is on completing the baseline assessment. Again, that's attached to kind of a large amount of award dollars, but kind of just getting that initial baseline assessment of energy efficiency data, indoor air quality data, and your IAQ walkthrough of all your school buildings. And then Andrew already mentioned our monthly cohort sessions and check-ins, but that's something that we do monthly. And we also have monthly cohort sessions where we're talking about a topic, and then our monthly check-ins individual with either the IAQ coordinator or the IAQ team or everyone to just kind of check in and make sure that if you have any questions, we're answering them and to make sure you're on track or if you need additional support. Then we have that IAQ management plan, which I talked about a little bit. That'll be something that we have a template for, and we will be providing for you if you want to use it. Like Andrew said, we have a lot of templates and we want to make this as easy as possible for you. We know that districts are often stretched thin and time and resources are limited. So we want to support you, give you templates. And so that IAQ management plan template will help you do that. And then those annual assessments, that'll just be something that you'll need to complete on that yearly basis moving forward in order to keep receiving the award dollars associated. Next slide, please. So with that, I'm going to start walking through the application itself. And again, feel free to send any questions in the chat if you have any. So to apply, and I'll be posting the QR code at the end of this. You can scan to fill out the application. But this is the first page of the application. You'll start by putting in just your first name, last name, all of your kind of contact information. And if you participate in the NSBA membership program, you'll just select if you're a CUBE member or an AtCon member or none of the above. Next slide. Then you'll just need to identify the state and region that your school district is located in and some demographic information of your student population, how many students are in your school district, the total number of students that are eligible for free and reduced price lunch, and the total number of students in your school district residing in a tribal community if it is. Then you will need to upload just a verification from your State Department of Education, just confirming the number of students in the district that are eligible for that free and reduced price lunch. Next slide. This next question is just if your school district is located on tribal lands, and we have a definition for that next to that, and so you'll fill in that question. And if your district is affiliated with a tribe. Additionally, there's a question if your school district is willing to sign a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, that essentially outlines kind of the deliverables associated with the grant if you participate in it. Next slide. Then, and one thing that I'll note is we really wanted to make this application, again, easy for you. Your busy school districts and staff that are doing 100 million things. And so we really wanted to make it easy. And so kind of the big question on this application is this question 10, what opportunities and impact would receiving this grant and all of the technical assistance provide to your district and community? So that's the main question that you're going to be filling out there. There's not like a bunch of questions that you're filling out. It's just that one. So fill it out to the best of your ability and provide us with as much information as you think we should know. And then you'll just need to include the contact information for the superintendent of your school district and sign and submit the application. So hopefully it isn't too long. And hopefully you're interested in applying. This is the QR code. It's also found on NSBA's website as well as our website, gogreeninitiative.org. And you can also scan it here. Next slide. With that, that is the end of, or nearly the end of our presentation. Does anyone have any questions? I'll give it a moment maybe to see if any questions pop up in the chat.
At this point, we don't have any questions. If anyone has questions, feel free to add that to the Q&A section at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. But seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed. All right. Well, I want to thank Andrew and Lauren for that great presentation. They are the folks that you would be working directly with if you apply for and are chosen for cohort 2. Again, that application is due February 27th. So please do make haste to get out there and fill out the application so that we can make sure that you have a chance to be evaluated. If you are interested, and many people are, in the National School Boards Association Magna Award Program, this is a program that's been around for 30 years, a very prestigious program. Because of our partnership through this grant with NSBA, they have dedicated their Magna Award program to indoor air quality management and energy efficiency for the next 4 years. And by watching these webinars, filling out a quick survey, you can actually earn 15 out of the possible 500 points towards a Magna Award. So if you'd like to participate in that or you're not sure, at least reserve your chance to earn those points by clicking on this QR code and filling out a quick survey. The next slide, please, is just an opportunity for you to register for our next monthly webinar. It's going to be February 17th. One of our cohort 1 school districts will be joining us. Bibb County School District from Macon, Georgia, is going to be talking about their energy efficiency program, how they have started that program, how they maintain it, and how they've institutionalized it to make energy efficiency a part of their everyday activities and who they are. And some representatives from their school district will be joining us for that. And I'm really excited about that webinar. So do quickly grab that QR code and register today for the February 17th webinar. There are no questions in the Q&A section. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you to NSBA for your wonderful partnership. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and do something in your life to go green. Thanks, everybody.